welcome to the channel. Today I'm doing one of my art videos and I'm working on a piece that I actually started quite a while ago. I'm not sure when exactly I got the sketch done for this piece, at least 2 months ago. I was just working in my sketchbook, and because of what's been going on in the short story I've been writing, my characters are getting involved with some mermaids. I felt like doing a mermaid piece, and I only found out later. I did most of the painting on this one during May, and I didn't actually know that Mermaid was a thing, but that's kind of cool that I happened to be working on this subject at that time. But I wasn't really planning on it being a big great piece that I would turn into a watercolor. When I was first sketching it, I was just kind of trying to see if I could work something out and kind of get down onto paper what I was seeing in my head and kind of explore what I might like mermaids to look like in my story so that I would better be able to describe them when the time came. But then I ended up really liking the attitude and just the whole look of what I came up with, so I transferred it to watercolor paper with my, my light box. And there are some things working with a light box that are a little bit difficult. For example, at least I find sometimes the best lines on a piece are half unintentional. That is, they're more down to a flick or a just happening to that your hand happens to make a good line in a certain place, and so it's hard to capture those when tracing. So there were a number of lines, especially around her arms and face, that I just had to redo, and didn't end up looking exactly like the original, but were I just kept messing with them and doing them over and over until they came out good, or had a good vibe when they came out. So that is one drawback of starting out on one paper and tracing to another. If you have ended up with really good lines on your sketch, you won't be able to preserve them particularly well. Usually the only you can at least for me, I've only been able to accurately get across impressions and like the idea of a shape of a piece rather than like the exact lines. Certainly proportions and positioning, all that can translate, but certain good looking lines probably aren't going to, which is very frustrating. But I definitely would prefer to trace something like this than to try to do it all over from scratch. Especially, I tend to struggle a lot with perspectives with people, and it takes a lot of sketching and redrawing to get, like this mermaid is facing front but partially to the side, so even just tipping a body slightly like that, I have to draw it a bajillion times to get the lines right and the angles correct. So it was nice not to have to do that again. One thing that I did a lot with this piece that I haven't done all that much before with my watercolors was a lot of layering. I've been watching these videos by David Denton Art, which I'll link below, that he does a lot of layering. He uses acrylics. As you can see with my rock here, I went over it with one brown sort of shade, and then I went over the same area that I had already painted with more detailed sort of shapes and dots of various different browns and reds, and brought out more sort of shapes than were there originally, and kind of I was going for a bit of a pockmarked look. And later you'll see I do a lot of layering with the water, basically because the medium that I was most used to before I changed to watercolors was colored pencils. Those don't layer all that well, or at least I wasn't able to use them that way. Mostly it was just like a coloring in the lines type of a thing, which it has been a fair amount how I've used watercolors up to now. I've done some layering, like with my fairy wings. I layered over wispy fairy wings over the background, and I do a lot of blurring and blending with watercolors. That's definitely something I like about watercolors. I like to blend them a lot, but I haven't usually fully like done one whole area one color and then gone over it with a different color. I would normally just mix the two colors together in the first place, but I really like how doing it separately and doing it in certain areas makes it a lot easier to like create shadows, but also to create light sources where you can cast like a bluish light on something instead of by mixing in the appropriate amount of blue to each color to get the version of that color where you put the non-shadow or the non-bluish light. You would just paint everything that is the same color, and then put a light wash of blue over the thing that you want to have blue light on it. And I hadn't really considered it that way before, which is probably quite obvious to a lot of people, but that's just something that has been a recent discovery on my particular art journey. But layering can be used to do a lot more than just light casts and shadows. It can also be used to add depth and complexity. Like with water, usually when you're looking at it, because it is transparent, you're usually seeing a lot of water at once. When it might seem like you're looking at the surface, but you're kind of looking through the surface, while you're also seeing what's reflected on the surface, but you can also see past the reflection, and sometimes there's stuff floating in the water, and sometimes there are waves, and you can see the bubbles, but you can see through the bubbles and around the bubbles, and just kind of stuff like that. So even if like for a lot of the original layers you can barely notice in the final product, but I really do think that without them being there, the way that the water ends up looking in the end would not be as complex and realistic and sort of interesting. Something that I explored with this piece and had a lot of fun with was being able to just keep going until I liked it. I was able to just keep adding layers of complexity and different colors and trying different things, and it didn't really hurt to go over areas again and again. I've been afraid of doing that in the past, but I don't know, I just kind of broke free a little bit with this piece. I'm doing a technique that I'll try to find the video I learned it in and link it below. I'm not exactly doing what they were doing because because they were using acrylics and I'm using watercolors, so I had to adapt it slightly. But basically I'm doing squiggly line type things to indicate the way that water, like in a pool, how it makes kind of crissy-crossy lines, and it makes those light patterns on the ceiling that go wavy. I'm kind of doing that with white. And then something that I learned from David Denton is you can do white, but then you can also tone it down with further layers. Like you can have it be pure white and not have it be too shocking, because later you're gonna put like a thin bit of blue over it or a thin layer of green or something, and you can still see the white through it. And I ended up really happy with how much I was able to see the white through the layers that I added on top of it, so that worked out really well, and I would really recommend trying that out if you're curious about it. And then I was very much picturing the whole thing as being, I really wanted the water to be greenish, aqua-ish, rather than a deep blue. So I started putting in green, and the original green lines were kind of like to be the tops of waves. and then later I would put on blue that would kind of be the body of the wave, which I learned in that same video where I got the idea for the white squiggly lines. So we'll see if I can find that and link it below for you. But then I did so much experimenting with this surf stuff with these bubbles, trying to figure out how the water would crash against these rocks that she's sitting on and would make these bubbles, and how far up the water would go and be straight water, and how much would be pure bubbles, and where else on the rock the water would catch and make more surfy stuff. And yeah, so I also had to, it was quite a bit of work to get that much white pigment into the brush so that it would layer over the other colors, because once again, unlike with acrylic, it's much harder with watercolors to layer lighter colors over dark colors. So that's one thing if you're trying to take advice from acrylic painters and apply it to your watercolor paintings to be aware of. So there are a few things that I'd like to talk about a little bit while I'm working on this. First of all, I'd like to let you know that my upload schedule is going to be a little bit weird for the next couple of weeks. I'm going to be going away on a mission trip for 6 days starting on Friday, so 2 days from when this is going to be uploaded, hopefully. And then I'm going to be back for 2 days before going on a 7-week vacation with my family. Now, during the mission trip, I will not have access to the internet, but during the vacation, I will. So, and I'll also have access to my editing software during my vacation. So, some things I will be able to get done then, but I don't think I'm going to take my camera, my nice camera, on vacation with me, because vacation is a really good time to lose stuff. I'm going to think about it. Because I would like to take a few just little family videos and just maybe even a vlog, because there are really pretty places. I'm just worried about it breaking because we're going to the beach, or losing it and leaving it behind or something, or it getting stolen for that matter, because it's an expensive camera. So I'm kind of worried about it. So I'm going to consider whether or not to take it. So there may or may not be any film produced during that time. But I will be editing what I've already filmed, and I'll also be able to upload. But for 6 days from Friday, I will not be able to upload anything or publish anything that I've uploaded. So it will be a barren wasteland. And then, of course, when I get back, I'm going to get back on a Wednesday. I'll get back late Wednesday night. And so I might be able to publish something. I probably will actually publish one of my book videos next Wednesday. So at least I'll be once a week. But my Sunday video will not be going up on time. I'll probably post the garden video I was thinking about doing this Sunday. I will either post it early tomorrow to you on this Thursday, or I will post it late the Thursday after that. I'll have to see how editing goes and how whether I'm happy with it by Thursday, or if I think it needs more work and think it would be better with more work if it came out once I got back. And then after that, because of the dearth of filming that will probably be happening during my vacation week with my family, I may be behind on either Sunday videos, or I may have to substitute some book videos for my art videos, because I probably also won't be taking my paints and stuff on vacation, because, you know, I might mess up the furniture and stuff, and I don't want to do that in a hotel and mess it up, and I also don't want to cart around my filming apparatus all the way on vacation, because it's kind of a bulky, fragile sort of thing. Plus, of course, then I'd have to take my camera. And because this particular project that you're watching me do right now took so long, I kind of got behind on my art video, so I don't have any done ahead of time. Usually I do the actual paintings quite a while before the video actually comes out, because I have to finish it, edit it all together, then record the audio, then edit the audio before it all comes out, so it's usually done way ahead of time. But because this particular one took so long to actually do the painting on, I haven't got a bunch of paintings pre-filmed to come after it. So I may be substituting in some book videos, which take only about half hour to make each, filming wise. I may have to substitute those in for some of these. This one is a very long one. There were just a lot of parts that I didn't want to cut, and also, you know, it just took so long in the first place. But if you have an opinion on, you know, if you don't mind little quick art videos, I have some planned. I have art projects planned, actually a bunch of them. I just need to actually paint them. But anyway, because of various things, I'm not going to have my art videos on schedule, but hopefully I will have my book videos on schedule, and even in excess, because I've had such a reading month. I had all those Temeraire books, and I've already filmed the video for that in addition to my May wrap up. I've also filmed a library sale haul, and that's all edited and ready to go, so we will see what happens with that and what I decide to do. But I will try to get back on track as soon as possible. There are some other things besides this particular mermaid project being such a detailed one, such a large and detailed one. There were some other things that have gotten me behind, not just on my videos, but also on various other projects that I would like to be working on and like to have done ahead of time and such. And that is that this mission trip, I go on it every year, but I've gone on it every year except one that I took a break since I was 14. So this will be 7 years since I started. It'll be the 6th time I'm going. And every year for 5 years I had the same job on this mission trip. I was a mentor to a little boy. But this year I'm going to be a teacher, and that's going to be like leader over 7 little boys and their mentors, and I will have other co-teachers. I'm not going it alone. Since it's my first time, I'm just helping 3 other teachers, so it's not like a crazy big job or anything like that. It's just new, and I'll be sleeping in a different place than usual, and I'll be with different people than usual, and I'll be in a mixed sex cabin for the first time, and basically it's just a different job, not a harder job. In fact, I believe it's going to be a much easier job, but it'll be different, and different stuff makes me nervous, especially different stuff that will be for the first time I'm doing it in front of people, and that makes me really, really nervous. That really gets my social anxiety going. So I've been stressing about it for the last couple of weeks, but especially this past weekend and this week leading up to actually going. And when I get socially anxious bad in anticipation as opposed to, what's it called? Not chronic, but the other one. Acute stress, when I get acutely stressed out, that's one thing. But when I get chronically stressed about something, where I'm thinking about it a lot and just worrying about it even when I'm not actively having to do it, that really exhausts me and really takes down my productivity levels. So that's a big reason for why I've not been accomplishing things like I usually do lately. And so that's basically just the life of a socially anxious person. There's nothing really to be done about it. Maybe if I was on better medication it would help, or if I was farther along in therapy, or if I was able to put my therapy into practice better, it would help, but I have no real evidence that that would do anything. Just vague hoping that, but basically I just have to live with it and get through it. It's become really acute though the last couple of days, and I'm starting to be depressed, both from my lack of productivity and also kind of, it gets me into a negative loop, kind of. And then when I have all these negative, worried thoughts, it kind of gets my brain into a negative loop, and it's hard to get out of. And so I've had a hard couple of days, and I'm anticipating having a hard tomorrow and the day after as well. For no reason. All the people I'm going with I trust really well, I know really well. They all are so kind to me and lovely and wonderful, and I trust them, and they are not judgmental people at all, but I'm scared of them because I have social anxiety and I have an irrational brain that does this to me. But hopefully in 3 days, once the first day is over and I've settled in a bit, I will feel better. So, getting off of the really depressing topic of my video schedule for the next few weeks, let's talk a little bit about my lovely mermaid. So, I really liked her facial expression, how it came out in my original, what's it called? Sketch. And I was just, there's just enough personality in it that I was really excited about making it a full piece and really bringing her to life. And I think that I got a lot of her expression across in the final product, so I'm really happy about that. At first, I was planning for the mermaid, when I was sketching her, oh, she'll be like holding a mirror and she'll have a hand in her hair, which is because I didn't want to draw the hand, in case you were wondering. Yes, I totally chickened out of drawing that other hand, because I hate drawn hands. But anyway, but then I was like, no, just because she's a mermaid doesn't mean she needs to be all vain and not have a real personality. No, I'm gonna make her like a scholar or like a cool person who's like trying to figure something out. So I gave her a little tablet and a little scratchy pen thing that she would be writing on it with, and tucked it behind her ear, and put little squigglies on her tablet like she's been writing something and she's thinking about something, and put kind of a puzzling expression on her face. And I'm really happy with it. I have a hard time with faces sometimes and expressions. I should practice. I am a fair amount afraid of drawing faces, so I need to move past that and practice in my sketchbook. But I really liked how she turned out, and it just came to me as a bit of inspiration because I was having trouble with the coloration of the arms. You might have noticed there's a bit of green on her arms and a bit of, I never did totally fix her skin tone. I had a terrible time with her skin tone in the beginning of the video, you might have also noticed. Terrible time getting her skin the right color and having it be consistent. So I decided, let's mask that a little bit with some distracting freckles, because I have quite a lot of freckles and representation. I really like how they look on other people, so I decided to give her some freckles both on her arms and her cheeks and nose, and I'm really happy with how they turned out too. Oh, and as for why she is a Pacific Northwest mermaid, the hills behind her are a lot what it looks like in the Pacific Northwest, both on the coast and in any lakes. I was actually, in my story, my mermaids are actually in a lake, not in the ocean, and in the mountains around here, pine trees on big old hills like this come down to the lakes, and that's how it looks kind of in my area. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video whenever that happens to come out. Bye!